A new bill proposed last month in the California State Senate aims to create what's called an Ebony Alert system. This is to help find missing black women and girls.
Our Ebonies, young girls, are just as important as our Ambers.
Let's go to you first, Vivica. What do you think? The Ebony
I
Alert.
live in the state of California. It's an Amber Alert. Stop trying to just come up with stuff just to clickbait. It's an Amber Alert. It don't matter if she's white, black, Mexican, Asian. We a rainbow coalition out in California. So stop it. That was dumb. And you're oh, and of course, oh no, it's not a brother that came up with it.
Governor Gavin Newsom signs Bill 673 into law, establishing the Ebony Alert system for missing youth of color. So that ain't racist? Because first of all, my name is Amber and I'm black. So why can't black people have Amber Alerts? And yes, I know Amber Alerts was created after a little white girl named Amber went missing. So my question is, who is the black girl named Ebony?
An Ebony Alert? Oh, great. So now we get to segregate missing kids? Was the Amber Alert not good enough for California? I mean, I know Amber Alerts are kind of different state by state, but in Florida, most of my Amber Alerts are missing black youth.
When did it change from all kids to now specifically black kids? They're not going missing at no high-ass rate. All kids are going missing. Trafficking is fucking wild. See, this is that election year bullshit.
So now the Amber Alert system, the one that's supposed to stop people from getting abducted, that's racist. Listen, people, I am not joking. I didn't think this was a real story, but you gotta watch this video. Okay, so let's talk about what the Amber Alert system is. It's an alert system named after Amber Hagerman, a third grader who was abducted in Texas. Here's her story.
Amber was a precious and precocious third grader who had been interviewed by Dallas TV station WFAA for a story on single-parent homes.
You got a Principal's Award here for excellence. That's a pretty big deal, isn't it?
Yes.
What'd you do to get that?
I had to get A on a row, AB on a row, and I had to do good things in the class and help.
The TV station also took video of Amber and her brother together, and Amber on her bicycle. Just weeks later, at their grandparents' home in Arlington, Texas, Amber and her brother rode their bicycles to the parking lot of an empty grocery store. They wanted to ride on the delivery ramp. Ricky was ready to leave before his big sister.
I went back by myself, and then when I went back, my grandfather, he was like, "Where's your sister?" I was like, "Oh, she's over there at the ramp," and he was like, "We'll go get her." And then I came back to come and get her, and she was nowhere to be found. We saw the policeman, and then we saw the bike, and he was like, that's my granddaughter's bike. He's like, "Where's my granddaughter?" And the cop told him that, well, there's been a little child taken from here.
A witness had seen a man jump out of a dark truck and grab the screaming little girl. Amber's grandfather returned home and told his daughter Donna the dreadful news.
Now, the most important thing when it comes to abductions is time. The faster you can get the word out, the more likely it is you can save the person who's been abducted's life. Lawmakers decided to try to get the edge on this by creating America's Missing Broadcast Emergency Response Alert System. You know it as an Amber Alert. Now, here is how it's supposed to work.
What do you want to get? Ice cream.
Chocolate?
Yeah.
Let's go, honey.
Together, we can find a child by signing up for free wireless Amber Alerts on your cell phone.
Now, this was extended to a silver alert system for people over the age of 65, but if you were above the age of 17 but below the age of 65, there was no alert system for you. But we know that young adults get abducted. So this young black woman, her name was Ashanti, she was abducted. And after her abduction, politicians came together and created the Ashanti Alert. Now, this was for people who weren't children and who weren't elderly, but for everyone else. This alert system was signed into law by former President Donald J. Trump.
In the last hours of 2018, President Donald Trump signed a bill creating a new federal alert system. It's called the Ashanti Alert. It was created in honor of 19-year-old Ashanti Billy, who was kidnapped and murdered in September of 2017. Tonight, we take a look back on how this law came to be and the group of lawmakers who made it happen. It's a story that captured the nation's attention and now spurred a new federal law. A federal alert system meant for missing adults will now be used across the country. Outgoing Congressman Scott Taylor introduced the bill.
And now that the president has signed this, I mean, 2019 is going to be a lot better for some families out there.
But how did we get here? This story begins back in September of 2017. That's when prosecutors say Eric Brown abducted Ashanti Billy from JEB Little Creek. Her parents, Meltoni and Brandy Billy, organized a search, getting their 19-year-old daughter's picture out there.
We didn't know what to do at first. We were just trying to call people, put things on social media.
Through that, the Billies learned there was no alert system for critically missing adults. They had to spread the word on their own. 11 days later, police found Ashanti's body in North Carolina.
When her phone was located, we knew something was wrong. And that was the first sign that there were mysterious circumstances. Why wasn't her name flashed across the news constantly, across the billboards, cell phones?
There were calls for reform.
And most people out there probably don't realize why it was so necessary, because you had the Amber Alert, which is 18 and under, and the Silver Alert, which is 65 and older, but there's nothing for missing adults. And Ashanti was 19 years old.
So you have a black 19-year-old who was abducted. Republican-led federal government created the Ashanti Alert System, not just for black women or black people, but for everyone, because they saw there was an issue with people being abducted. So we have the Amber Alert system for children and the Ashanti Alert system for everyone else. Now, this covered everyone, so if you were abducted as a child or if you were abducted as an adult, an alert would go out. Now, California, in its ultimate wisdom, focused on the Amber Alert and thought Amber Alert was racist. So they decided to create specific alerts based on race. First up is the Feather Alert. It just sounds crazy, but that's what they call it. Here it is, the Feather Alert.
A new law is now in effect to help draw attention to missing Native Americans here in California.
It is called the Feather Alert, and KRON 4's Ella Sogomonian is live in the newsroom tonight to tell us how it works. Hey, Ella.
Yeah, well, the state is home to many Native Americans, and the Feather Alert works much like the existing Amber Alert for kids and Silver Alert for missing seniors, except it will focus on another vulnerable group, Indigenous people.
Now remember, at the same time, they already have the Amber Alert for children and the Ashanti Alert for everyone else. But they wanted a special alert specifically for Indigenous people, the Feather Alert. But, so not to be outdone, the black community in California wanted its own special alert system too. Hell, why should they be left out? So here comes the Ebony Alert.
This morning, a new alert in California to help track down missing children.
Our Ebonies, young girls, are just as important as our Ambers.
A new law signed by the governor creates Ebony Alerts. Similar to Amber Alerts, Ebony Alerts are aimed at getting the same resources dedicated to finding missing black children and black young adults as are dedicated to other missing persons cases.
Many of African American girls go missing and they're listed as runaways versus being abducted.
And that, advocates say, results in fewer resources for those cases. Data shows young black people make up nearly 40% of reported missing persons in the U.S.
Oh my goodness. ABC is citing the Black and Missing Foundation. Now, I'm just going to tell you, that place is a scam. Let me show you how. This is from their website. This graphic is not only misleading, it's essentially fraudulent. Look here at the bottom. It says nearly 40% of missing persons are persons of color, yet African Americans make up only 13% of the population. Now, this sounds like 40% of missing people are black, but blacks only make up 13% of the population. And as they say here at the bottom, they get this data from the census. Now, if you think that, you've been fooled too. See, if you look at how it's worded, the first half of the statement deals with people of color, which are everyone who's not white. And the second half of the statement deals with African Americans only, not all people of color. See, the part that says nearly 40% of missing persons are people of color, when you look at the census data, that includes Asians, African Americans, Hispanic, Hawaiian, Native Americans, Native Alaskans, and people of two or more races. But then when they say yet African Americans only make up 13% of the population, they exclude all those other people and just focus on African Americans. Now, here are some examples of that same statement using all these other groups. And remember, all these statements are also true. Nearly 40% of missing persons are persons of color, yet Pacific Islanders only make up 0.3% of the population. Nearly 40% of missing persons are persons of color, yet Asians make up only 6% of the population. We can also do it with nearly 40% of missing persons are persons of color, yet Hispanics make up only 19% of the population. Nearly 40% of missing persons are persons of color, yet Native Americans only make up 1.3% of the population. You see how dishonest this is? The true statement that could be said is nearly 40% of missing persons are people of color, yet people of color make up 40% of the population. But no one would give money to a statement like that because they say, well, there's no issue here. And understand this. They use that reasoning to create this new law, to create this new system. And to show you how bad they are at just reading, here is a state senator repeating the lie that 40% of missing persons are black people, based on the Black and Missing Foundation.
State Senator Stephen Bradford is the author of a new law that creates Ebony Alerts for a community disproportionately impacted by missing youth.
African American young individuals make up almost 40% of those individuals who come up missing.
He read it wrong too, and then wrote a law that the governor signed that's now the law of California. You can't make this up. So, just to recap, we had the Amber Alert system for kids, we had the Silver Alert system for people who are over 65, and we had the Ashanti Alert system for everyone else. Now, California decided to have alert systems based on race. So we have the Feather Alert system if you're a Native American, and now you have the Ebony Alert system, which sounds racist as crazy, but now they have that just for black people. So I wonder what they're going to come up with next. The Sombrero Alert system for Hispanics or the Yellow Alert system for Asians? Like, this is really getting ridiculous here. And when did the alert system for missing persons become so racially charged, right? Listen to the state senator again.
Our Ebonies, young girls, are just as important as our Ambers.
He sees Amber as white and Ebonies as black. And if you notice, he never mentions the Ashanti Alert system, which covers the people that he says he wants to protect or not being covered by the Amber Alert system. Remember, the Ashanti Alert system was created in memory of a black woman. So essentially, they have solved a problem that's already been solved. There's already a system in place for young black women, but not limited to young black women by race. It's supposed to help everybody, which the law is supposed to do. See, an Ebony Alert is supposed to be used for black people up to the age of 25. But what about white people in that age range? Do they not get an alert? Is there no Ivory Alert? Let's just call it what it is. This is reverse racism on a massive scale. Now think about it. I'm going to ask you, in 1950 Alabama, if we put two alert systems in place, one for whites and one for blacks, we would call that institutionalized racism, right? Whites versus coloreds. But instead of whites versus coloreds, we now have Ambers versus Ebonies. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, do all that great YouTube stuff. My name is Nate the Lawyer. Tell me where I'm wrong in the comment section, because this is starting to get insane. We should be trying to help everyone and not trying to discriminate based on race. I'll see you next time.